Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me today. It's Alan Barry Labucan. I'm the founder of the Alan Barry Reports and also the CEO of Advanced Gold, AAX.V. I actually no longer have any sponsors, and basically the sponsor and who's bringing this to you for shows to you from now on will be my company, Advanced Gold. But today I have a special guest. David Moore runs a company called Serengeti Resources. For my readers, you've heard about them in the past because I've picked them in the past. In the last couple of months, they've really come to life, and then they've had some big ups and downs. So I thought today, especially because there was news out, I actually bought some stock today. So I'm going to talk a little bit with David Moore. David, thank you very much for joining me.
Well, you're most welcome, Alan, and thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you and your listeners.
Well, great. David, we might as well get right to it, right out of the bat. In a minute or two, I'm going to share the screen so people can see your news and stuff like that. But, you know, I guess the gorilla in the room today is the action in the market after you put out news. It must have been one of those mornings where you were thinking, oh, I can't wait to get this news out, because I looked at it and it caused me to want to buy the stock. And especially after I see it come off about a dime early, and then it just kept on getting hammered. And, you know, that's kind of indicative of the market these days for juniors, and why I'm banging the drum on some so loudly. What happened, David? Or as best you can give us a...
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I know, as one of our directors said to me this morning, he said that it seems to me some days the longer I'm in this business, the less I understand it.
I hear you.
You know, these were terrific results, Alan. On our continuing. We finished up the drill program now for the season, but we're about halfway through, in fact, putting results out from that summer program. And it's a delineation, it's an infill and delineation drill program on the central zone at Quenica, and which is our copper gold project.
Now sorry, David.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
If my memory serves me correctly, I've just switched over to the screen share. So I'm giving my company a little bit of a plug first, because that's the first screen on the screen share. That's my Advanced Gold.
Let's pull up today's news release.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Maybe we'll go to our project page on Quenica.
Good. Okay, so we got this big swings in the market today. I opened the morning. I looked at them last night. You put them out last night, didn't you? It was.
No, it came out first thing this morning.
Okay.
We put the results out well before the market opened, I guess. So analysts in Toronto and so forth, the Eastern time zone can see these.
So I must have picked it up early this morning, and I got that news release on the screen share now. This is what everybody's looking at, and the headline is Quenica Copper Corporation drills 500 meters of 0.66 copper, 0.8 grams of gold for an average grade of 2.19 grams per ton gold. Now, just before we go into that, I want to put that into context, because these days the average grade of a discovery is under a gram these days, it included 113 meters of 1.31% copper, so nice juicy numbers there. 1.31 grams per ton gold, 4 grams per ton gold average equivalent from near surface at Quenica. I saw this and I go, I got to buy some stock today. And then when I looked at my screen, it was down a dime, and I'm going, I couldn't figure it out, but I thought, I've seen this before. Stocks get hammered right as soon as the news goes out, because things are kind of that way these days. But tell us what what you think about this news. I know what I thought about it.
Well, so yeah, I mean, this is it's a great result. It's in fact similar to a headline number that we had on our batch of drill results from the central zone at Quinnica, and we can see that actually if we scroll to the plan, Alan, if you look at the our news release up on our website, then and scroll through the drill table and look at that drill plan. It shows.
Okay, I've got it up there now.
Yeah, 2018 drill plan shows the holes that we released today: 182, 83, 84, 85, and 87. So we released all the results that we had available, and if we scroll down to the next.
Hold on a second. Before we get onto that, another thing I noticed was about a month and a half ago, I saw that you had put out results, and that's really what got things sort of going this year. And right out of the gate, I saw it, and I saw, someone said it's twinned holes. Then I saw you did an interview with someone, and you explained, no, it's not twinned holes. It was actually, they're cross-cutting holes. So you were able.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, and in fact, you're right. We should stick with that plan for a minute here before we get into the section. So what we show on that plan is the round shape, the mauve shape there is a pit, a proposed pit shape from the PEA, preliminary economic assessment we conducted in 2017, and then beneath that, the red rectangular shape is the proposed underground conceptual block cave footprint.
So that's below. If we're looking over this map, and that would be below the purpley stuff.
Yes, exactly. So we're looking at a plan view here. We're looking down on the pit, and then beneath the pit, or portion of the pit, is this potential block cave. So what we're doing in this drill program is gathering the information to advance a pre-feasibility study. So, I mean, we're at an unusual stage here for a junior. I mean, most juniors don't take projects to the pre-feasibility stage. What we're trying to do with this drill program is convert resources to reserves and demonstrate the potential viability of a mining project.
But David, you're a good explorationist, and what you did with those scissor holes is you didn't just improve the numbers you're looking for, you also did a little bit of exploration with those holes as well.
Well, that's right. The focus of the program is, I mean, it's twofold, and it's twofold with a third objective, really, and that is. So if we look at that cross section there, Alan,
okay, so
a good time to look at the cross
okay,
section.
so now I've okay, so there's only one. Oh, there's a couple. Okay, so I'm at the
number of cross sections. So
yeah.
if we look at A prime, the first section.
On there.
Yeah, so in the 2016, and in the first hole, actually, that was funded by our partners here, Posco Davo, when they initially invested in this project back in 2016, we drilled a highly encouraging hole there, 177, that demonstrated to us that there could be a considerably higher gold grade within the underground shape than we had previously realized, and that's so we drilled this hole through that shape. We reasoned that if you go back to the plan, you can see the underground shape has a.
It's kind of a step out from the conceptual 2017 pit. Am I correct?
Well, yeah, it's beneath the pit, but what that hole did in 2016 was demonstrate there was some really good gold grade, and higher gold grade than we would have predicted, in fact, in that block cave shape.
Okay.
So what we wanted to do with this year's drilling was test that idea, test that hypothesis.
Okay.
And so we scissored with the first hole, 180, that we released about 4 weeks ago now, I guess, or 3.5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Was in late October was a pretty terrific hole there. 540.
So you went through the conceptual pit,
Yep.
and through the resource area, and that's
Exactly.
where you got the 514 meters. Okay.
Right. So, and the standout number there was 0.8 grams gold. So, what we saw in that hole in particular.
Holy smokes, putting that
Yeah.
into the context of what's being discovered these days, that's almost average grade of a discovery these days. Your gold alone.
Yeah, the gold alone, and this is just part of the story because this is a copper project with a real gold sweetener. So that that one began to demonstrate hole 180 that yes, we were onto something. So we steepened a hole from the same collar, hole 182. It's an infill hole, all right, and yeah, the hole flattened. We anticipated it would steepen, but it flattened instead. We can't control the direction of half a kilometer long drill hole.
Yeah. There's a little bit of drifting.
There's some drifting. We anticipated it would steepen, but instead it flattened, so it stayed, close-ish
Yeah.
to 180, all right, and we saved 45 meters away at the midpoint of the hole. But, it's still a heck of an intercept. And what's really outstanding about this hole is the top 113 meter intercept. Where we see 1.3% copper and 1.3 grams gold over 113 meters.
You really like that in a block caving scenario because you get some juicy numbers right out of the gate.
Yes, well, but that's right up at surface, eh? So
that
high grade material would be liberated in an initial pit, so it's even more meaningful in terms of what it can do.
Oh, so you might be able to bring that into a new pit. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that correct?
Yeah, well, not so much a new pit as what we're seeing in that hole, and then what we see in the three of the other holes that were drilled in the pit there. There's a high grade copper gold domain in the pit that I've said in the news release we're estimating, has a horizontal width of something on the order of 70 meters running kind of east-west across the pit of really exceptional grade. If we can, well, not if, we would bring that forward in any kind of production scenario. Mining those kinds of grades early on in a project has a huge potential possible.
Well, it also
for effect on economics. So
yeah.
These are great results. The drilling that we did, if we go down to the other sections, you look at C prime, for instance.
Now, where is this? Okay, so it's in relation to 180 and 82.
Yeah, 183. So if we look at 183 now, it's off to the west of the holes that are drilled in the pit. That hole is testing a mining shape, an underground mining shape that we call the West Cave.
Okay, I understand.
Up off to the west, and you can see we show the shape from the PEA, and what we're demonstrating in that hole is, there's some terrific grade inside the shape, but there's some significant grade outside
down deeper, and you're still in it at the end of the hole.
We are, and there's a significant run there of pretty reasonable grade material in the footwall to that current shape. So that's what we're seeking to do in this drill program. Really, is get the best idea on grade distribution in the deposit, and we're testing it with holes in orientation.
One of the things that I think is a little bit unfair towards what you do, David, is that it seems like the first thing it's infill. And yet I've been following you for 2-3 years now, and as soon as I read that, I go, he's not drilling those holes for fun. There's a reason behind this.
They have a purpose. If we look at, if you scroll down, Alan, to section E prime, so that's
I'm there.
That's the last of the sections in this news release. So we drilled 3 holes from a common point there in the middle of the pit, 184, 185, and 187. And you can see that in the case of 185 and 187, we're reporting, well, some really spectacular grade at the top of 187, again, similar to what we saw in 180, 182, and we see the same thing in the top of 185.
Right down to the bottom of the pit, actually.
Yeah, right to the bottom, especially at 187. So it's mineralized in material that we demonstrated from our prior work at the PEA stage that's an open pitable grade. So we're expanding a potential open pit here, and that was really one of the main objectives of this program, was seek to expand the open pitable portion of the resource so that we could get a longer pit life and thereby delay the capital required to do the underground development, move it from initial capital into sustaining capital. So we can do all of that and demonstrate higher grade, both in the pit, which we're doing here, because as I say in the news release, really all of these holes are higher grade than we would have predicted from the existing block model. I mean, these are, all of those factors, yes, they're incremental, but incremental positive factor on top of another incremental positive factor on top of another.
Like they say, a billion here, a billion there, and pretty soon it adds up to some serious money.
Well, anyway, that's what we're trying to do with the project here is demonstrate the viability of a mining project.
Well, that was no joke. That was no joke. I mean, those changes have a way of, making a big difference early. And that has a way of turning the green light on faster.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's what we're. So, as I've said to a few people, we're focused on demonstrating the viability of a mining project, not running a short-term speculation.
Right.
And maybe that's what the market missed here today.
Well, and let's go. I'm gonna switch back off the. Actually, I'm gonna leave your website up there with that news release on there. They don't need to see my handsome face anymore. One thing I wanted to put into context. I really like that headline, by the way. I'm glad I got it up there. Is how badly the industry needs a project like this. And I think that's why you're so focused on what you're doing and the way you're doing it. Do you sort of see things the way I am there, David, that, this industry needs new copper projects? Most of the new stuff is in, less than easy places to work. Here it's adding up to something pretty sizable, and you've got more on the plate too on the exploration side. The original reason, let's get into that first about the need in the industry.
You bet. I mean, and the fact we demonstrate that if you are prepared to, and your listeners to flip to our presentation here up on the website, corporate presentation, for instance.
Okay, I'm there. I'm in.
Yeah, and then we go to that copper. We've got a lot of slides here on Quinnica, and we haven't updated this for this morning's results yet. But if we look, speaking to that copper need, if we look at slide 13, Alan, in this presentation, and that's that copper supply deficit.
I might not have grabbed the right presentation. I went to your presentations.
Yep.
Is it the corporate presentation, October 2018?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
yep.
All right.
Yeah, you may have gone to the first one there, which was a presentation we gave to a University of British Columbia short course last week.
Okay. All right, there I am. Oh, copper deficit. There we go.
Yeah. So that's there is strong consensus in the industry that from mid next year out into the mid 2030s, we're going to see a very significant copper supply gap, and that's a result of two things really: disinvestment, over the previous 5-10 years, really, And then a significant driver on the demand side from electric vehicles, power distribution, electrification. So that combination of under investment in projects and under advancement of projects like Quenica, combined with increasing copper demand, is going to result in a very significant supply gap. 2019, 2020, 2021. That's a very positive scenario to be advancing a project as we are doing, and de-risking a project as we will do with the completion of our pre-feasibility study, which is scheduled for completion by mid next year. So, and that's what this drilling program was designed to do, was gather that resource information, the metallurgical drill core, the engineering information, to enable us to advance the project and de-risk it. And as we de-risk the project from PEA towards copper development stage, that should result in a re-rating of Serengeti.
And probably put you on the target list of some companies out there, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, potentially as well, and yeah, for sure. And speaking of targets, actually, now that we're in the presentation, if we just scroll down to a couple of slides that potentially represent our next...
well, that would have been my next question anyways, where to from here, so...
You bet. So, well, of course, where to from here? Well, we advance the PFS, as I say, and that's due for completion by mid next year, and lots of work to do to complete that. In the meantime, Serengeti has a couple of really terrific exploration bets, and if we look at the next couple of slides here.
The ATT UDS, I'm at that one.
ATT UDS. So that slide demonstrates or shows a significant land position that we have right on the doorstep of the Kemess mine, or former mine that's now being advanced by Centerra Gold, who are advancing the Kemess Underground project.
Yep.
You see Kemess Underground, Kemess East, the second deposit there, and we've got a substantial land position on their doorstep.
Yep, I see that.
Yeah, so if we scroll down to the next slide, which we won't dwell on too much, it's a geological slide, 15.
Yeah.
Other than to show the target area that we're where we see the potential for a faulted offset, we'll call it Kemess East offset target, a faulted offset of one of two deposits on the immediately adjacent Kemess property. And if we scroll down to slide...
And those, the underground, those are all fault controlled there. So yeah, I see what you're doing there. Makes sense.
Yeah. So you see, if you look at slide 16, Alan, it shows... So this is a view looking south now from our property back onto the Centerra ground.
Yep.
With a mountain ridge there in the background, and the Kemess Underground target that's not target, it's a development project that Centerra has in fact colored a decline, about a 5-kilometer long decline to get to.
Yeah.
That work was underway this summer, and then to the east of it, a second deposit called Kemess East, which, if you can believe it, tops out at about 800 meters below surface. They drilled that off from 800 to 1,600 meters below surface.
Wow.
We know that deposit is cut off on its eastern side by a fault called the Kemess East offset fault.
And you got a big old mag anomaly right there.
Chargeability.
Oh, okay, chargeability.
Yeah,
all right.
Chargeability anomaly, so a potential sulfide system.
Okay.
Much closer to surface.
Oh.
So that's our drill target, and the work we did this year has given that some size and
now, do you have some holes pending on that, or?
No, we don't. So
okay.
What we did, I mean, these represent. These are really, this one and the next one we'll talk to is a terrific drill targets for next year's drill season.
Okay.
So this represents.
Where's this Croy Bloom?
Discovery.
Where's Croy Bloom? It's by it's on the near Centerra as well.
Yeah, it is. So if we look at the next slide, similar kind of target actually, and this property. So Croy Bloom is about 80 kilometers south of Kemess, just off the Kemess mine haul road, in fact. And it's a property that we've had for a number of years that we've always liked. We've liked the prior work that's been done there. The mineral, some really attractive copper gold mineralization of surface and shallow drill holes. And what we did this year was a very deep penetrating, broad spaced IP survey, which we use to map these deep sulfide systems. And we've lit up a heck of a target sitting under that ridge below some pretty attractive prior shallow drill holes. So
yeah, it looks like those old holes just touched the top of the system.
Yep, that's what we think. And you know, some interesting numbers there. And this is bear in mind drilling short holes back in 1997. We went a few years ago and had a look at some core there and found some unanalyzed material in core boxes that was running 3 grams gold and 0.97 copper, you know, right near the bottom of the hole. And we thought, okay, well, this is a good place to develop a
Oh, so that highlight you have there of DDH 97, that was a re-assaying of material that wasn't assayed before. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, I mean, we were pretty stunned when we got that number back. Now, that's not a big, you know, it's a small dike.
Yeah.
That's mineralized with some, you know, 3 grams gold and just under % copper. And now that's sitting just up above a big chargeability anomaly. So this is a terrific target. Over the ridge there, we show chloride vein. It's not a large vein, but it's got some eye-popping numbers: 15 grams gold and 10% copper.
Oh yeah.
We think that's a leakage potentially off the leaking off the top of a porphyry system. So these represent great drill targets. And then, of course, we've got generative exploration. We're in the exploration business. So, you know, that's what we show in the last slide here. And we've yet to report, in fact, on the results of a summer program on early stage work there. So that's,
okay. Then you've got your catalysts in the next 12 months.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see, I mean, right now we're partway through releasing results from the summer drill program. So I have 8 holes.
And how many have you reported so far?
We reported 3 holes in the first news release, and well, there was 1 exploration hole and 2 holes in the deposit. So 3 in the first and 5 in this second release, and then we've got 8 drill holes.
So you've released half the holes.
Half of the holes, yep.
Okay, and of the remaining, what are we looking for as far as sort of exploration as to resource expansion or improving the resource number?
Yeah, there's I mean, 4 of the holes that are yet to be reported are really drilling through or near the underground shape, and then 4 are shallow holes that we drilled out on the periphery or on the edges of the pit. So 4 are testing the underground, trying to get a better idea on grade distribution and the rocks in and around the underground, and then 4 seeking to add to this potential picture of pit expansion. So
also,
I mean, you know, having
you got some hopes for both. You got hopes to get the pit larger, and also hopes for some exploration excitement out of the underground holes you drilled.
Yeah, I mean the underground, it potentially pushes out the underground shape, all right, and then gets at this. What we're trying to do is demonstrate the grade distribution and get an idea on this. What we're starting to see, this higher grade gold and copper gold domain running right through the center of the underground domain. So they're trying to,
with a bias towards the top, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the reasons for that is that there's a supergene enriched zone, and we would have to go to other sections to see that. But there's a copper enriched zone towards the top of the resource that we get some really striking copper numbers in. So that's all of that will get fed into, all those results get fed into a new resource update, and that's coming in early in mid Q1, late January, early February. We'll be reporting on metallurgical results, of course, as we advance the PFS. And then that all leads to, by mid 2019,
back to drilling.
A feasibility study. And before that happens, we're started the next exploration discovery cycle with some drilling on the Addy and Coy Bloom property. So lots happening.
So you're
over the next 10 to 12 months.
Lots of de-risking to happen there. Good. And before we close off, I'll go back to what I sort of began asking you about, and we kind of got drifted off into the conversation. Was where does this sort of put you in relation to competitors out there that have sizable resources that are of quite attractive grade in mining friendly jurisdictions? How many companies are out there like that these days? A half a dozen or less?
Well, I would say it's not that many. I mean, we'll be in a position, and by mid next year, to have a feasibility stage project completed on an attractive copper gold potential mine development, and controlling a majority interest in that. So we'll be one of the few.
Oh yeah, that's right, because your partner is a 35% shareholder. Is that, I'm going off memory there, David?
Well, that's right. And they holder in the project. So the project's being advanced by a private company, Quinnica Copper Corp, and Serengeti owns a 65% interest in that company. So we're going to be in a great position with a de-risk project and a partner who, Pasco Day was a great partner. Their interest is concentrate offtake and so forth. They're traders. They're not mine builders. So
but they realize how hard it is to find the offtake, so they're in early. They're ahead of the crowd, if you will.
Well, they are, and of course, we're benefiting from that. It's their $8.2 million investment in this project that's really got us back on track.
So where does that stand now? How does this? Are you partners now, where it's 65-35, or how does things work now?
Yeah, well, we are 65-35 partners. What we're spending, we're essentially, we're funded for completion, or largely so, completion of the pre-feasibility study.
So they keep covering the costs until the pre-feasibility next year.
Well, until the $7 million runs out, and we think that will get us largely through the PFS. So their first installment was, those initial holes back in 2016. They liked what they saw, and they decided to put $7 million in, and that's what's completing the pre-feasibility. Drilled all these holes and completing the pre-feasibility work, metallurgy, engineering, and so on.
Well, and that also does another thing that I'm harping on people about these days, David, which is you got to look for companies with good projects without stock share structures that have been blown out. So here you have a company, you're in an area where you're in an industry where there's not a lot of really good big copper and gold plays, and you haven't blown out your share structure. You got a very modest valuation relative to your partners and what you're looking for. And that sort of fits into everything that I'm trying to tell people to look for these days.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's that's one thing we've been very careful with the capital structure of this company, and persistence is my middle name, I guess. And we saw the potential in this project, and I think we're demonstrating that now, and certainly will in the PFS as we move towards its completion.
Well, and again, I reiterate the part about not a blown out share structure. What do you got? 80 million, 90 million fully diluted?
Yeah, just over it's a 91, just over 91 million shares.
Fully diluted.
I think.
Okay, 100. And you're looking at a project there that there isn't very many of those out there. So, I'm telling people, do the math. Do your homework and do the math. Do your homework to find companies like Serengeti, and then run the numbers yourself and sort of say, okay, well, what's this company? I call it the valuation to potential. It's not easy to do all the time, but I like it when it almost makes you come up with the conclusion that I gotta own this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it's a great bet, and it's this combination of a project that's being de-risked in a rising, an attractive project being de-risked in a rising copper market, and then some fantastic exploration bets that could represent the next discovery.
You wrapped it up perfectly there for me, David. I'm going to end the show on that note. Thank you very much for joining me today. As always, folks, before you make any investment decision, it's important for you to do your homework and speak with your financial advisors. My show is only about information for information purposes. I really encourage you to go to the website, go over Serengeti's. I really believe that they're quality of asset puts them in a small category of companies. And then you look at their good share structure, their valuation, and their recent news. And David and his team do really good exploration. I know they got hammered on these scissor holes, and people throw out there, oh, but these are twinned holes and stuff like that. These guys are doing really good exploration. Go do your homework, check them out, run your numbers, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much for joining us.